The second leg of the Champions League quarterfinals are here. Aston Villa are home against PSG. Borussia Dortmund are home against Barcelona. Fortunately, we have a 3-1 and 4-0 goal deficit. I'm going over lineups as they come out. They're going to be coming out within the next 10 minutes or so. I'll be going over those live. Once we get those, be chatting DFS over at DraftKings, and I'll probably end with some goal projections as well. But Roto 15, get 15% off at RotoWire. Any RotoWire subscription that you get, Roto 15, ROTO 15. Again, this episode is also sponsored by the Pasty Guy. So shouts to the Pasty Guy. But we have a full 2-game slate here that we're going to discuss. I wrote a few short words here on the slate over at the website, but I'm going to have the cheat sheet pulled up here as we get the lineups. We'll look at the odds and we'll try to put together a winning lineup. Last week I was pretty spot on with the goalkeepers and hit or miss in some of the results, I guess I'll say. I think overall it did pretty well, but things like Desiree Douillet, surpassing 20 points and a couple other things were a little unexpected. But the big thing with the second leg, I mean, it was also a thing with the first leg, but when playing these 2-game slates, you got to project how these games are going to go. And for the second leg of these, we have 3-1 deficit, a 4-0. So we basically have to, you go into this and project how these games are going to go. You're not going to be, these aren't like, okay, I'm going to win with playing floor guys. This isn't really, you're not really going to get floor points, at least. Hey, maybe it does happen. You're not going to win being like, okay, I'm going to play floors from all of these teams and I'm going to win. There's going to be goals. Let's look at the odds here. We have Barcelona implied goal total above 2. Both these totals are above 3, 3.54 for the Barcelona-Dortmund match, 3.25 PSG Aston Villa. So how do you read these matches? So 3-1, you can take this Aston Villa one a number of ways. And I think that they'll maybe play a little safer in the first half. It's only 2 goals. You don't want to be in a spot where they're pushing in the first half and they allow that goal and then they're down 3 goals and then it's pretty much out of reach at that point. You don't really want to be in that situation. So I kind of think that they're going to take the same approach as they did last week and just pretty much ride off the counter, play, sit back, go off the counter, get your opportunities on the counter. They had their chances last week, and then they allowed that very late goal to make it 3-1. I'm talking Aston Villa here. And I think they're going to play similar, at least in the first half. And then if they get a goal back or if it's still, if it's 0-0 in the first half, then I think second half, that's when Villa are going to push their guys forward. Their guys are going to be a little higher up the pitch. And then that's also going to leave, okay, Dembele, Douillet, Kvaratskhelia, those guys are going to be more open on the counter. And I think that's kind of how it's going to go. I'm probably going to look at a first half under in this game. And, something like this could blow up in my face, but that's my read on this match. I think the odds suggest more goals in this Barcelona game because Dortmund are down 4. They can't really do the same thing. They can't be like, okay, we're going to play a little safer and then expect to score 4 goals in the second half. They basically have to go for it from the jump. So I think this is going to be, assuming, Barcelona will probably take some blows away from home. Yellow wall, this is a tough spot. What's the motivation here for Dortmund? If Barcelona get the 5th goal, if it's 5-0 in aggregate, what's the mindset going to be for these players? I do think you can come up with lineups and ways. Maybe you think, okay, it's going to be taken off what I just said. Maybe it's going to be a little lower scoring in this Villa PSG game, and maybe you get a goal scorer, Guirassy, whoever. We'll see what the starting line looks like. Maybe you get a goal scorer or 2 from Dortmund, and then you build it with, okay, let's get Rafinha going the opposite way on counters, kind of a thing, and you just get the bounce back counters kind of thing. And the same with Aston Villa. You get Rodgers, Watkins, and then you're getting Douillet, Kvara, or Dembele. whoever, that kind of thing. I think you can, if you want to build off just one game and get all the attacking pieces from one game, I think this is the kind of slate to do it. And then you're just hoping that, okay, either what match you're looking like, okay, maybe Villa are pressing, but PSG just can't convert on the counter, or maybe Dortmund are pressing and Barcelona can't convert on the counter. So as you're thinking, okay, one of these games is going to be 3-2 back and forth, and the other game is okay, maybe it's 1-1, 1-0, something like that. So if you want to, stack one game, I think that the second legs here, I think this is a good spot to do something like that, because this isn't like a normal, I don't know, Premier League Sunday morning 2-game slate. This isn't like that. We have teams that need to do something, and something may happen or something may not happen. There's no guarantees with how these things go. So that's my kind of initial read here on the slate. And let me check out the Barcelona Twitter. Let's see. We should be getting some lineups pretty quickly here in the next few minutes, but that's my general read on the match. In terms of cash games, I'm probably not even going to play cash games on this slate. I know about people always play cash games, but I'll just say, okay, you got Rafinha. Just really quickly go over this. You got Rafinha, Dembele, and I think I kind of like Gross here in this spot, assuming Pascal Gross starts. Majority of pieces at home. I think this is a spot where Dortmund had 6 corners in that last game. I think that is a spot where if they do get an early goal, if it isn't like 2-0 Barcelona, and there is some hope there, I think this is a spot where maybe Dortmund can get 10 plus corners in this spot. I also think Villa can do it. Maybe not early on, but if it's still a 2-goal deficit and there's 20 minutes to go, it still wouldn't be surprising if Villa were racking up corners. And so I think you can play that way as well in cash games. The difficult part in terms of that Villa buildup is, okay, if Rashford starts, maybe he's getting subbed off. So maybe you play him for the corners, and then they get 10 corners after the 70th minute, and then you're kind of looking in the dust there. So maybe this maybe is a Tielemans spot. Tielemans not always my favorite play, but he is a guy who's going to go 90, and you don't have to worry about who's subbing on, who's subbing off, kind of a thing. 4,900. So there's a couple ideas there. We're just looking for potential set piece takers. We'll see if we get wing backs or fullbacks out of Dortmund. So we see who's starting in those spots. So we got Rafinha, Dembele, Gross, Tielemans. I think those guys stand out. Obviously, again, Rashford is a possibility. Let me click in this profile here again. Again, this is only available with a subscription, Roto 15 to get 15% off. But look at his starts here. Since that FA Cup match, 65 minutes. Okay, it was a 3-0 win, subbed off a little early, came off the bench against Forest, then 79 minutes in the first leg, 66 against Southampton over the weekend. So, he's always an early sub. The Villa is pretty healthy right now. So no matter where he starts, no matter who starts, in this situation, Asensio, Jacob Ramsey are coming on. Bailey might be healthy. Won't count him coming out, but they just have guys all over who are going to be coming out of the pitch. So that is one worry with Rashford. He's not really going 90 minutes. But I mean, I guess if he's playing well, maybe he stays on for the 90. This is do or die time. So in terms of defender, I mentioned most of the set piece takers already, forward, midfield. I think this is, and then, we'll see what the percentages look like. But Nuno Mendes, again, 1,400 cheaper than Hakimi. Hakimi just overpriced again. He's 7,900. I kind of said this last week. I think, yeah, he's 7,800 last week at home. Now he's 7,900 after, a 7.8 floor, a couple shots on target. Yeah, maybe he should have scored, but he didn't. Are you going to rely on a goal here? This is, Hakimi, purely a tournament play and hoping he gets a goal on the counter. Nuno Mendes had that late goal in stoppage time in that last one, but he had the goal and assist. You're saving money with Mendes, so I still kind of like him better if that's where you're looking. But I still think the Villa, and I wrote about this in my article on the site, rotowire.com/soccer. Just these Villa and Dortmund guys are just too expensive, or sorry, too inexpensive, too cheap here. Like these guys are cheaper than they were last week, and now they're at home in dire situations. So Luca Digne, 3,600. And I don't know if I'd go Matty Cash. We saw Matty Cash get yanked at 45 minutes in that last one. Okay, we got the lineups here. So, but that's my general thought. I'll click into this Dortmund one so we can actually see what kind of lineup we're getting here for in terms of fullbacks, wingbacks, whatnot. Jan Kuto actually gets a start here, so that is a little bit of a surprise. So Sule and Anton. It looks like Emery Can. Can is actually out, so I think we aren't getting wingbacks here. Actually, this is gonna have to Jan Kuto. So Kuto, Bensebaini, and Svensson are all in, and then you do have Anton and Sule. All right. Well, of course, we have this lineup that isn't a common occurrence. Maybe Jan Kuto is playing. He hasn't really played center back here. Maybe Bensebaini's playing center back. Either way, I guess Bensebaini has played center back in a back three once this season. So, of course, this is the first lineup that we're looking at. But probably my guess is Svensson, wingback, and then Jan Kuto. Let's see what UEFA is going to project for us before we get out of here. But yeah, I mean, Jan Kuto is a guy who probably isn't going to go 90, doesn't have a ton of minutes on him, mostly a right-sided. So Svensson on the left side, Felix and Mecha, Gross in mid, and then we got Garasi, Bayer, Adeyemi in the attack. Okay, so more or less a 3-4-3, 3-4-2-1, which was kind of expected. This is what Dortmund ran out over the weekend. And let's look at Barcelona. I don't think. Oh, we do have Gerard Martin in here. Who does he take out of the lineup? What are we looking at? Guess who is the projected center back? I don't know. I can't even remember at this point. Gerard Martin would be a left back. So we have, Arroyo and Kubarsi are in. And then Koundé is right back. Gerard Martin is left back. I'm not sure how much that changes things. What am I missing here? Whose spot did he take? This is great here. Looks like we already got the lineups out. He was taking Balde, who's out. I'm not even sure who we were projecting. But Alex Balde. Okay. Yeah, Alex Balde got injured over the weekend. That's why he's not starting. So maybe Gerard Martin. I think he is. Let's see where Gerard Martin is. 5,100. So a little expensive, but not the worst thing. So that is the only change, I think, here for Barcelona is what I'm looking at. Okay. Let me refresh and see if we can get a formation projection from UEFA. Nothing yet, but all right. Let's check out. Here is the Aston Villa. Okay, yeah, Ali Watkins does not start again. Kind of thought they'd do it, but instead we have. Yeah, this is an interesting lineup here. This is an incredibly interesting lineup from Aston Villa. So this leads me to believe that they're not going to go all out in the first half. I don't think they've actually done this once this season. Not that I can remember here. So the back line, nothing changes as expected, but we have Amadou Onana, Boubacar Kamara. So Onana's probably going to get yanked at 45. He's going to get yanked before 60th, I'll say. Kamara's in here. McGinn's going to get yanked. So I think they're just trying to hold on to this, maybe get a goal off the counter with Rashford or Rodgers, and hope that they make things happen. I think that's kind of what we're looking at. Unai Emery doesn't want to go down 3 goals is basically what the goal is here. Looks like we also have another change. Oh, yeah, Marquinhos is back in the 11. He was suspended in the first leg. And then Barcola does get the start over Douye. So that is one thing there. But, yeah, so looking at this Yeah, I mean, okay, McGinn's gonna get subbed off early, so we could get McGinn, Watkins coming on for McGinn. I mean, this I don't know what the exact strategy is, but in uh, at right after halftime, we could get Onana and McGinn both off for Watkins and Asensio or Asensio and Jacob Ramsey. I think that's one way of looking at this lineup because this is a really defensive lineup. I mean, McGinn and Tielemans aren't your Tielemans. Okay, he has played in more of a defensive role most of the season. Onana, Kamara are pure defensive midfielders. McGinn kind of can do a little bit of everything, but having him in this position compared to someone like Rashford or uh, whoever, Jacob Ramsey, a little different of a play here. So I do think that I am actually going to bet under goals in the first half between these games, between these teams. Let me actually look to see what we can get here because I think that's going to be a great bet. First half, if we get 0 goals in the first half, it's plus 270. It seems like a lot. Seems, it's a tough bet, but you could also do under 1.5 at minus 155 and try and take it with something else. So I think that's the one change here that we're getting in this lineup is Villa starting a little more defensive and more or less trying to uh, play defensive, possibly get a goal, and if it doesn't work, they have to ball out in the second half, hopefully only down 1 or 2 goals. That's kind of what my read is on it. Borussia Dortmund, they got to go all out. This is kind of what was expected. They're kind of out of center backs here, so Benzabaini is in this spot. So, okay, let's Adeyemi, Garassi. They had opportunities in that first game. So let's go over to DraftKings and see what we can do here. So I think my initial read is I'm sticking with my initial read between these games. And all right, gotta force me to log back into DraftKings. So let's see what we can do here. Of course, the lineups aren't in yet. Lineups are in over at RotoWire, but not at DraftKings. Noted. So nothing really changes, though. So we look at. So I like Svensson here. Svensson's 3,400 as a wing back. I like that spot for him. Even without set pieces, I think it's fine. Let's click into his profile. He didn't play in that first leg. He was dealing with a knee injury. Went 90 over the weekend. Okay, okay. Well, not the best of results. 4.9 floor points against Bayern Munich. But I still think this is a pretty good spot. No set pieces obviously hurts, but 3,400 attacking. So let me point out some defenders I like. So I would like Digne is 3,600. Obviously, we've discussed the PSG defenders; those guys are always in play. But again, a little expensive, and I think maybe not Gerard Martin. Gerard Martin probably more likely for crosses than Koundé as we look at some of his starts. But again, playing up 4-0. How much is he going to be asked to? How much does Hansi Flick actually want him attacking? So that is one thing. If you're paying for a $5,100 fullback, Koundé is 5K. Jan Couto. Let's actually look at this Borussia Dortmund bench because let's see who would actually come on. I still think Couto is probably going to sub off. If we're being honest, I don't think he's going 90 here. If there's still a reason of an actual shot here, we have Julian Brandt, Reyna, Duranville, Ryerson, Gittins. So any one of those guys, I think, are an option to come on for Couto. Is kind of what I think there. So I probably wouldn't go Couto, especially since he's 4,900 compared to Svensson at 3,400. So those, kind of the defenders I was looking at beforehand. And then, just make it happen. Adeyemi, Bayer, Garassi, go with one of these guys, get a goal, maybe get Fermin had some really good chances in that last leg, but he is a minutes concern, 60, 70 minutes concern for him. And then all these attackers are obviously great options. So Yeah, if you have any questions, throw them in. Probably don't have too much more to say. I went over a lot of this before lineups came out, but any questions, let me know in terms of this slate. But yeah, so yeah, I'll go over some. I went over sub projections for Villa already. And for PSG, we'll probably get Douillet coming out for Barcola. Not too surprising. The rest of the subs are kind of iffy. I'm not going to guarantee any substitutions for PSG. We'll probably get a bunch of guys here for Dortmund, depending on how things go. If Barcelona, they're up 6-0 in aggregate, anyone could be subbed off. So that's kind of fire you're playing with the Dortmund guys. That's why it's purely a tournament route with most of these guys. But someone like Gross, is he going to be? I guess he's kind of older, but is he going to be subbed off early? Are the central midfielders going to be subbed off early? Are the center backs going to be subbed off early? Probably not, but you never know. Maybe they go up 2-0 and in the final 20 minutes they still have a shot, so they take off Ben Sebaini and put an attacker for him, something like that. Barcelona will probably get Fermin off. In the 4-0 result, anyone who's in play to be subbed off. Probably Gabi. I think De Jong hasn't been going 90s. Fermin. So basically all those guys, I believe, maybe not. I think Yamal was also subbed off early. Lewandowski hasn't been going 90s. I take it back on Yamal. But so maybe it was a bad game to play of projecting who's getting subbed off early. But I think I covered everything here. So I think it's going to be, I think Aston Villa are going to try and keep this thing 3-1 total, and then maybe nick a goal off a counter, something like that, have this low scoring in the first half, and then they're going to make some subs. They're going to sub off. Sorry, just looking at our lineups here. I bet UEFA is projecting Amadou Onana in attacking role, which is just incorrect. So we'll fix that over at RotoWire. But yeah, Onana is not an attacking role. We're going to fix that over on the site. So just looking at this again, I think it's going to be lower score in the first half unless PSG or just get 3 goals off 3 shots is more or less what it comes down to, I think. So we'll get Onana subbed off, we'll get Miguel subbed off, and then go from there. Maybe if it comes down to the 70th minute and still a 2-goal deficit, they still have a chance. Someone like Matty Cash could come off as well, or maybe you take off another defensive player. So they get more attacking players. Looks like Leon Bailey is on the bench here. So Leon Bailey is another attacking option they have. And then the Dortmund Barcelona game is just like, it could be okay. Barcelona get a goal or 2 early in the first half, and then it's just like a dead game. There's kind of no hope, and it finishes 2-0. Not that much that happens, or it could be 3-3. It could be off the wall. So I would lean towards maybe like a 3-3, 3-2 result, just because Borussia Dortmund are at home and they are good at home. So maybe they have a little more hope. They had some good chances for goals in that first leg. So I think there's going to be goals. So I'll say, let's get Adeyemi. Let's look at some of his recent logs here to see what kind of minutes he's looking at. Because I know he was subbed off 45 in that first leg, which obviously is worrying. Maybe he's not 100% fit. Kind of a problem here. He was going almost at least close to 80 minutes in every game before being yanked early against Barcelona, and then 9 minutes against Bayern Munich. That is kind of worrying there for Adeyemi. So maybe you go Guirassy instead. Let's look at Bayer's logs here. 81 minutes against Bayern Munich. I think any of these guys are in play here for Dortmund if you're thinking goals. Get one of these goal scorers, get Rafinha, maybe Lewandowski, get some open opportunities off the counter as well. And on the opposite end of that, if you think that's going to happen, maybe get a winning clean sheet for Donnarumma. Aston Villa can't put things away, something like that. For my goalkeeper thoughts, I wrote about it on the article, rotowire.com/soccer. There's not too much to say on it. Don't really have a massive lead, and it's a completely different situation. I don't think the underdogs are going to rack up that many saves in Emi Martinez and Kobo. So that's all I got, though. That's all I got. Again, rotowire.com/chat. Get into our Discord, talking over there. Any questions, throw those in the Discord. We'll be active. We also have a Wednesday preview show later tonight on the youtube.com/@RotoWireSoccer. One more time, Roto15, ROTO 15, 15. That is ROTO 15, 15% off any subscription over at RotoWire. Thank you for listening to this. Make sure to give a thumbs up on the video, and good luck with your bets. Good luck in DFS. I'll go. Let's do 2-1 Aston Villa here. 2-1. Let's go Villains. 2-1 Aston Villa and 3-2 Barcelona. 3-2 Barcelona. 2-1 Aston Villa. I'm going with goals. It's a lot of goals, but that's where I'm at. That's where we're at. Thank you for watching this, and again, good luck.